On this Wednesday morning, it's time for our Allied Cooperative program. And I have Allison Bredlau. She is a dairy nutritionist for Allied Cooperative. You get out on the farms and you're noticing that the replacement numbers are dwindling a bit. And I believe a lot of that comes to fruition because of the prices out there. What are you seeing?
What we're seeing a lot more due to the high markets of cattle and replacement cattle, we're noticing that a lot of farms are not holding on to extra or might be even getting rid of more than what they usually do in just to help maximize that market price.
But when we're not keeping as many heifers for our replacements, we need to take care of them when it comes to the feeding part of it. What are some of those tips that you have to make sure that these heifers mature and are able to come into that milking herd?
Right. So a lot of conversations that we're having with producers, if we're not going to be keeping as many replacements, let's make sure that we still have enough to leverage to, they are called replacements, so we don't want to hold on to excess old cows if they're no longer profitable for us either. So what can we do as nutritionists to leverage that heifer that she's going to grow better, she's going to do better, and perform better in the herd? So right now we're just trying to maximize how can we optimize that heifer, so to speak, so that we don't need to feed as many.
And with the feeding systems out there, a lot of times corn silage is one of the main additives. What are you seeing with the corn silage harvest this year?
So interestingly enough, coming off of maybe 2 more questionable years of corn silage, the corn silage this year is actually testing a lot better in starch. This might be a good avenue for a lot of producers that we don't need to feed as much corn. Too bad it didn't kind of line up when we were landing on a market year where corn was a lot higher, but it is what it is.
And when the starch values are higher in our corn silage, you said feeding a little less corn. Are there other supplements that we need to add in as well?
So every heifer is going to be kind of unique to your own feedstuffs on farm. So that's kind of where we come in. Obviously, a main part of the piece for growing heifers is protein as well. We can kind of make it as complicated or as easy as you want it. We definitely just need to benchmark certain levels, amount of protein, as well as energy, but just kind of keep in mind that more of that energy will be coming through the corn silage this year.
And I assume that a lot of testing needs to happen when you start feeding your corn silage. What about when you get partway through that bag or partway through that pile? Is it a good idea to retest and see what your values are?
Yeah, routine checks are usually a good idea, just so we as nutritionists can make sure that we're feeding accurately. As obviously a fresh corn silage is going to feed a lot different than a fermented corn silage that's been sitting in the bunk for 6 months. So usually the main difference is the starch digestibility. Once it goes through that fermentation, it's going to be more fully available. Obviously, we're in the fall now. We're not quite into that full fermentation yet, so we might need to still feed a little bit more corn before that stuff is fully fermented out.
So besides you, Allison, are there people out there that are willing to come out and look at our feedstuffs and do some of these testings at Allied?
Yep, so our current team of nutritionists is about 8 to 10. We cover a good portion of the state and starting to get into Minnesota as well. So be more than welcome to reach out to any one of us, and we can make sure that we can get someone to your farm if you want to do some testing and just kind of cover your end so you stay out of the ditches. Just let us know.
And a little insight on feeding our animals and keeping them growing by Allison Bredlau. She's a dairy nutritionist for our Allied Cooperative. And that's our program for this Wednesday morning. I'm Jill Welke.